Hi.
What's up, you guys? I'm Amber.
And I'm Patty.
And welcome to episode 6 of Chromosomes Chaos.
2 moms, 2 perspectives, and 1 badass podcast.
On today's episode, we are dropping that segment that we talked about 2 episodes ago. And what are we calling it?
Chaos Corner.
Chaos Corner. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So, she was trying to tell me what the Chaos Corner for her was this week in the office. And I'm like, save it for the podcast. Because if she tells me in the office and then I have to come out here and act like I'm surprised, it's just not the same. So now I get to hear it with all of you guys. This is pretty much a what the just happened this week.
So actually there's multiple things that happen sometimes on a daily basis. And this is going to be just, I feel like, a true reflection of our parenting styles because I was literally like, what the... So both of them, I get a phone call.
Both of them, remember.
Okay, so...
Addie.
One of them is about Addie and one of them is about Cooper.
Oh, sorry. I thought you... Okay, go.
Yeah, and then there's another one. So I'm sitting in a meeting and I get a phone call from Addie's special education teacher and I ignore it because I'm in a meeting and I was like, it was, you can write those messages back like I'll call you back.
Yes.
And so I call her back and, she's so sweet. We love her. And she goes, have you talked to Lisa? And I'm like, nope. She goes, oh, okay. Well, we had the first of an experience. And I'm like, okay. Addie's very spunky and, she's great. Needless to say, she's out at recess and she just, at the top of her lungs, yells the F word.
No, she didn't.
Yes. On the playground in front of everybody. And I was like, what?
I'd be like, she's using her words.
Right. I did ask her, I said, well, was it in the right context? Was it like a F you,
right.
F this? Nope, just F. Okay. And I don't even know where she heard it. Yes, I cuss like a sailor, but I am very cognizant about when I cuss or try to be.
Like you just don't, well, maybe you do stand in the middle of your house when the kids are all fighting and you're just like, fuck!
I know. That sounds really great. Sometimes I yell into the pillow. Sometimes, I run a food pantry, so I have a walk-in refrigerator and a walk-in freezer, and sometimes I just walk right in there and I'm like, and then if I go in the freezer, it just cools me down really quick, and I'm like, okay, take a deep breath.
Definitely your child. Definitely your child.
We were dropping Addie off at school.
Okay, so what happened then? So they just sat her down?
No,
and
they sat her.
You can't say that.
Her associate, Miss Joan, and her special education teacher, Miss Julie, they had a big conversation. She started crying. She knew she was in trouble. Okay. She knows we don't say those words.
Did you talk to her at home then that night too?
Yes, we did.
So then you talked to her.
Well, and of course, they're like, Mommy Patty, don't tell Mommy Lisa. And I'm like, okay, interesting. So the second one was Cooper. We're dropping Addie off at school. And we have to walk back to the car, and one of the associates bye Cooper, and Cooper is just such a vibe, and he looks at the teacher and he goes, suck my wiener.
No. Oh.
I literally froze.
Right.
In that moment. And I'm like, oh my God. What do I even do? And I'm like, Cooper, let's go right now. And we have to walk back. And so I'm carrying the scooter. He's like, I want to ride my scooter. And I'm like, Cooper, where did you even hear that? Right. It's not like that's something that I'm going to say. What is even happening?
Mama Lisa, she's not going to
No, nobody's going to say that. And so it's just something that he overheard and he decided he was going to say that.
Right.
And I'm just like, he's just at that impressionable stage that when things other kids say and he's going to say it and how do we respond and the reaction we give. And then, of course, this week has just been the busiest week and my check engine light came on Saturday, right? Okay. And so I'm like, oh, maybe I just need an oil change.
Right.
So I go and get my oil change, right? No. So I took the car in and we have a minivan and, my minivan is kind of like the dominant car in the house, takes kids here, there, everywhere. Lisa has her truck. Yeah. And then I take it in to get looked at on Wednesday, thinking, oh, maybe it's a spark plug. Maybe it's, something simple. And then I get the phone call. Oh, it's your head gasket, and it's going to be $7,500. And we don't think that you should be driving this. And I'm like,
your van's not that old.
No. It's a 2020. I've only had it for 3 years. And it's not, so there's no warranty on it. And so, of course, I'm bawling my eyes out. This is not the time, just trying to, budgets and expenses and all of these things. And then I end up towing it to a friend of mine's dad's mechanic, and he calls me. He's like, "Oh, I think it's just a spark plug." And
Come
I'm like,
on.
"What?" Like, so it's still there right now, and so of course, like, I've gone 2 days without a car, and I'm just
So
like,
they're still trying to diagnose it?
yeah.
Oh my god.
And I'm just like, so it's either $7,500 or it's gonna be like $70.
Come
Like,
on.
which one are we gonna do?
Good
I'm
for
just
you
like,
to get a second opinion on it.
oh, sometimes I'm just like, okay. What about you?
Right.
Chaos Corner for you?
Chaos Corner, gosh, I don't think too much has happened. So Ivy has volleyball on Sundays.
Uh-huh.
And so we were leaving volleyball practice and a car drove by or something that made me start singing the song. Oh my God, Becky, look at her butt. And we were getting in the car and I started singing it and they're like, who's Becky? Where's the butt? And Porter, where is she? Who's Becky? And I'm like, guys, it's a song.
Yeah.
So they thought I was like saying, oh my God, Becky, look at her butt. Like, where is she and who's Becky? It was so funny. I was dying. And I'm like, you guys, it was a song back in the day that Mom listened to. It's such a silly song. And they're like, can we play it? So like, it's a nice day. Our windows are down and they're in the back seat, like vibing out to it. And then, so my mom's here because Tyler's mom went to Indiana with the other grandchildren. And so my mom came yesterday. And so I guess Porter, and another thing, we played hooky yesterday.
Oh.
We got our first dose of hooky.
Okay.
So bad mom story, or bad mom coming out. But I'm like, it is what it is. So my mom's in town. I'm like, how often do they get a Thursday with their Nana? So I'm like, you know what, guys? Do you want to play hooky today? And they're like, what's that? Like, well, you can do it this one time. It means we're just staying home from school. You can hang out with Nana, veg out. And they had the best day ever, like memories made. But they were downstairs on the couch and all of a sudden, and my mom doesn't know this story yet. So she's sitting there and Porter goes, oh my God, Becky, look at her. And my mom looks at him like, what did you just say? He's like, my mom showed me that song one time. I really like it. I can dance to it. And she was laughing so hard.
The reason why that is so funny is because I was playing the Sing 2 soundtrack and it came up on a video. Okay. You know, like the little chipmunks maybe that are like, oh my God, yes. Becky. And they play that song. And so Cooper's been singing that song on repeat for the last week. Stop it. Yes.
Maybe I need to find that version. Because this one song I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, go to
like we might be saying what Cooper said.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty soon if we wasn't into this song. No, but nothing crazy has happened. I don't know. That's probably it.
It's okay.
It's good.
I need just like an uneventful couple of months. It's going to be crazy busy for work. So like all of these events, if they could just calm down.
And we have our 5K tomorrow, which we got 140 people signed up at the gym, which is so good. So we're putting on a More Than Pink 5K cancer run walk. And we've had 140 people sign up. So it's just been like a lot of, so it's a lot of organizing, moving parts, printing shirts and all those things. So it's been great, but it's like, it's when you plan events, it takes up, if you guys are event planners, you know. But if you plan your own events too, it's like there's a lot that goes into it and you don't leave anything out. So just besides that, just funny kid stuff. But
that's your weekly dose of chaos.
Yeah.
All right. Should we jump into today's? What do you want to talk about?
So today we were talking about the lovely.
Ooh.
I don't mind them. So there's going to be two sides. Okay, so you don't mind them either.
I think we're on the same page.
Right. Of IEPs. So IEPs, I know they can be really dreadful for a lot of people, or they can just be, I guess, a positive experience for a lot of people. And but let's get into that. So you
IEPs,
IEPs,
therapies, all the acronyms.
Yep. So IEPs. So like when did you first start your IEP? So I'm thinking, my memory is just the worst. But obviously, Pierce's he went into AEA first, which is, what's that stand for? Do you know?
Area Education Association.
Yeah, and does each state have that?
I'm pretty sure they all do.
Like AEA, yeah.
Well, they did up until recently.
And so they would come to our house and do different therapies. So it's through the school district. They would come to our house and do different types of therapies for Pierce at that time.
Yep.
And then when he went to preschool right away, so pre-K, and that was right when he turned 3. I about shit my pants. They're like, okay, do you want to send Pierce to school? And I did. And I'm like, he literally just turned 3, but they're like, yeah, right after that he can go. And he didn't have to wait until the next year or anything. And I've been so lucky with him because he's just gotten into school. Like, you don't have to pre-register. You don't have to get online and do anything. And then when Ivy's came up,
Yep.
they're like, oh, you got to, I'm like, oh, we have dates? We got to do this?
There's
Like,
things-
we got to pay attention?
What?
This isn't fair.
But really quick side note on that, because I just had this conversation. So every time we would have to take Addie to the hospital, she was always triaged first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was never like a waiting in the waiting room scenario. Right. And then I remember the first time that I had to take Cooper, and I was just telling my friend this yesterday, like he had a cold or I don't know what I was taking him for, and we had to wait, and we waited for like an hour, and I'm like, oh, this is what people have to go through. I'm like, I have never ever had to wait in a waiting room at an ER because Addie was always triaged first.
That's how Pierce is.
Huh. And so then with school, with Cooper, I'm like, wait, I actually have to sign him up? I have to pay for this? We have to pay for transportation? All of those
stuff,
things
I know.
Were just included.
See, so that is a blessing with our special kiddos that they do get some great things to them from our public schools. So great. But his first IEP, I mean, he's so little at that age. I mean, and I didn't hear any horror stories. So I think I didn't even know like how negative IEPs could go when you go to them. So when I went into that first one, I'm like, oh, like you guys know what he needs. Like you're the experts. And I feel like that's how I look at IEPs. And again, I think it's the school district you're in, because I think some of these other school districts, there's very negative things that you hear from IEPs, which is super unfortunate. But I am also the type of person that I think people are professionals in their own space. So the way Pierce is at school versus how he is at home is completely different. Like they'll be like, he cuts with scissors, he gets the scissors out, he draws lines and cuts. And then at home, I'm like, Pierce, you want to cut? And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh, he doesn't even touch scissors at school. Yeah. So then when we go to these IEPs, they present it in such a positive way of what he's doing. And I always leave it to them, like, what in the school side of things, what does Pierce need? Because you guys see him in this element for 8 hours, 7 hours that I don't see. So what are his strengths? What does he need to work on? And you guys come together, which they always do, for what's going to be the best for Pierce. And I'm like, go run with it. He's getting better on his charts. They're going up. If he does have a dip, we'll have a conversation. But overall, I love IEPs. I love our group. I love the positivity that comes around it. They always start with the strengths, because they know when parents go into this, it's very hard for them to hear the things that they're not doing. So they do a great job of being like, Pierce does this really good. And then they'll go into like what his IEP is and what we need to work on.
We started off right away. I think Addie was 3 months old when AEA came. And if you work with AEA or used to work with AEA, please correct me. But if I remember correctly, like the goal of AEA is to really equip parents in the home setting to have the tools in their toolbox to work with their kiddos in efforts to get them prepared for school, right? So different than the formalized therapies that we would have. And so we started off right away with PT, OT, and speech, not speech, just PT, OT, and I feel like there was something else. Addie also had clubbed feet, and so we had some braces and things.
She did?
Yeah, she was wearing clubbed feet,
I did not know
and
that. Okay.
So we started off right when she was like 3 months old, and we would have those on a weekly basis. And we were very blessed with community that the daycare that Addie went to, they let her therapist come into the daycare and work with her there. Awesome. And then when Addie ended up having her G-tube, they also learned how to do her meds and all of her food through the G-tube. So shout out to our daycare, who was absolutely fantastic during that process. And so we would start off, and then we went right into formal therapies through Blank Children's Hospital with PT, OT, and then when she was eligible, because I think you have to be like 1.5 before we started speech therapy. And all of those therapies are done on a weekly basis, sometimes every other week, depending on which one of those things. So there's a lot of scheduling and logistics that come into all of that. IEPs for me, individualized education plans, I had always heard about some negativities around them, or how much you have to fight, or trust but verify and document. And a lot of the things that I had heard were from parents with older kiddos. And I remember one time Lisa and I were having a conversation, and she's like, we have had such a good experience with our special education team, our IEP team, all of the things. What am I missing? What are we missing in this? And I had to remind her, I'm like, well, Addie's behaviors are different than this person's behavior or that person's behavior. We're also in elementary, and I've heard from a million people that elementary is kind of like the coasting time frame, and it changes in middle school. Lots of things change in middle school, right? Of course, I think I mentioned on the other episode, like, I am a little extra, so I very much come prepared in a sense of these are our goals as her parent, and our kind of expectations and what we want for her, in the school setting. And so I definitely reiterate those quite a bit, just when it comes to her associate and how we love our associates, but they're not there to do for her. That Addie needs to try. She needs to fail. She needs to try again. And kind of like the expectation or the bar. And so we talk about that. And I think for me and for Lisa, it's not really about the results and the numbers on a test. It's the progress. Like, is she making progress on something? Because in the real world, does Addie need to be able to, cite as many words in a minute? No.
Right.
Like, there's no time limit.
Right.
And if you know Addie, she has absolutely no sense of urgency for anything in her life, right? It's on her time, her space, her way, like...
And that's how Pierce is, and he's so stubborn. Like, in his own way. Like, and that's, too, what I mean, I almost go into these IEPs with no preparation, as bad as that sounds. Like, I feel like I'm a great mom. And I want the best for Pierce.
On that.
But I just show up, and they're like, what are your goals? And I'm like, oh, shit. I probably should have thought about those. That's kind of how I live my life. But he's thriving, and he's doing well. And my ultimate goal for Pierce is honestly just to enjoy school. Like, there will be days where we drop him off and he cries. I just want him to feel like he has a safe place to go to, good friends. I want his behavior to be where it needs to be. And if by 8th grade he knows blue, red, yellow, and purple, we win. But as long as he enjoys it, he, I don't know. I just, like you said, there's some things that I really want him to do. And then there's sometimes I'm like, I just want you to enjoy your life and enjoy school. And if he needs to go sit in another room for a timeout not because he's bad, but because he's very sensory overloaded and needs to go just chill on his own with one of his toys, so be it. That's fine. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's seasons of life in these kids, and I bet if you have a kid with Down syndrome and they're older, like they told me at school yesterday, I went to pick him up the day before, he's catching on. Like, he's getting it, and kids get it different, right? Pierce has gotten it later in life than Addie, and that's okay. He's going to get it. He's going to know the color red. It might not be before Addie, after Addie, whenever, but he'll get there, and it's okay. He's a great kid at school. He's good behavior, so those are things that matter more to me right now versus like, what's this?
I feel like I can take some of that wisdom from you. I am the exact opposite. There was a time last year that I actually called and asked if I could get a copy of the IEP before the meeting so I could go over it to have all of my questions, because I am a question asker extraordinaire. And I got a phone call from the principal, and her name's Patty. And so I'm like, hello? And she's like, is everything okay? And I was like, well, yeah, why? She goes, well, you asked for a copy of the IEP before the meeting. I was like, yeah, I know. I just want to read it.
Yeah.
So I can, like, if there's something I don't understand, if there's something...
Can ask the question, or know to ask the question.
Yes.
Right.
And she goes, okay, I just wanted to check. Typically, parents only request the IEP before the meeting if there's something wrong or, like, something's bad. And I'm like, no, I just want to read it. Because I do, and I think that's just ingrained with me, like, from Addie's medical things. I would record the doctor when they would come in and talk to us about what was going on, so I could listen to it and then do my own research or have the questions to ask. Because people in their own expertise, they talk fast sometimes. I'm like, whoa, slow down. I remember one of the first IEPs, and I'm like, what's that acronym? What are you talking about? What does that mean? Like, sometimes people talk in a jargon that you don't understand.
Yes. Especially doctor's offices, too.
Doctor's offices.
Some of the appointments we have, I'm like, oh, that was way over my head, and I probably wish I would have recorded, but then I'll go and do whatever research I need.
And I have no problem saying, oh, wait, stop. What does that acronym mean? What are you talking about? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah. And I think we can all listen to this and be like, you can take things from me and I can take things from you. And I think we listen to people's stories and we're like, am I doing enough? Is this enough for a family? And it's like, wherever you're at, you're doing a great job.
Absolutely.
And I know some of these educators, we never leave an IEP where they're not like, you guys are such a good family to work with because you just get it. Like, I never go into these meetings looking at all this team of individuals being like, you have it out for my son, you have it out for him, you have it out for him. You don't want him to succeed. I go in and I literally think I cry every IEP when I get to tell them thank you for providing my son with the best education possible, because back in the day, this wasn't a possibility. You guys are making it as enjoyable for him as you can. You're messaging me with certain situations where we need to find out, like, does he need to be removed from lunch because he's just, acting out from a sense of sensory overload. Like you're collaborating with us and wanting the best for him. Yeah. And so I always go into those just being like, you guys have got this. He's doing great. And we're just going to continue to love the process. Yeah. But it's everyone's different,
And everyone's different. And I think that you and I have both been, our families have been on the receiving end of just having really, really, really great teams. And that has been an amazing structure. I know that there are other people in the disability community that have not received that. And I remember when I would post something on social media and other parents would respond saying things like, I'm so glad that it can be done. Right. And so we've never had to be on the receiving end of having to, I don't want to say of not having to fight, because like there's advocacy components to when you're talking about goals or expectations and things like that.
But it's a different
we haven't had
type of fight.
We have never had to say, hey, this is in the IEP. You said you were going to do this. This is not happening. Why is this not happening? Right. Because our teams follow through with what is on the IEP as well. And I would say for us, we're in a smaller district. And so the funding is not scarce where it is in some larger districts, or, Addie has a one-on-one associate, but when given opportunities for independence, we have it written in her IEP that she does not have her associate. So she doesn't have an associate during her specials for music, PE, art, recess, and cafeteria. But there are also other districts where it is a 1-to-2, a 1-to-3 ratio. Should it be that way? No, but between staffing or funding cuts or a variety of other factors that impact the school system, we are very lucky. When I moved out to where we live, I remember thinking, when Lisa got pregnant, I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to be the token lesbians with a biracial daughter who has Down syndrome. It was real! Like, how many, check marks can we... And it has been the best experience ever. And when we moved in the same, I was like, we have to stay at this school district. Like, I'm not moving across this street, because then that puts her in another school. And we love our school and we love our team. And it's been a great experience.
All y'all in. They've taken in. That school district's growing like crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Growing. And we think about that a lot. And we go to a big school district, but it's a really good, we pay extra taxes for, the money to go to that school. But I know a lot of people in the school district I'm thinking about, and we're not here to bash anybody by any means. They have different addresses, so they live maybe in that school district. But they open enroll to another one just because there's more opportunities. So you do still hear of that. So it's all dependent on where you live and stuff. But overall, it's been great for us.
What piece of advice would you give parents who are starting out in their kind of IEP journey?
I think just being open-minded, right? Because, and I think that I know that I loved going in open-minded, not hearing negative stories and also not hearing positive. I just went off of what I know, and that was nothing, which is probably good, because I feel like we can become so sensitive to words and actions and different things when we already have our mindset of that this is going to be a negative meeting because Susie told me it was. So we were to go in with this connotation of like, this is going to suck and everyone's out to get my son. So just go in with a positive mindset. And I'm a positive person. I'm very laid back, which could default me to some things. But I just go in knowing that they have the best intention for your kid, and go with your gut. If it's not good intention and you feel like there's something wrong, then you got to advocate for yourself. But my biggest piece of advice would just go in open-minded and know that they're all there to support your child however they need.
Yeah.
And it's hard for everybody. You know, they probably feel the pressure too of saying the wrong thing to the parent, just stepping on eggshells in those meetings, because
systems can be overwhelming.
They can be very overwhelming. And I think about, they have to sit down with, there's a lot of kids on IEPs with all those families, and some.
The first IEP I went into, Lisa couldn't be there. I was by myself, and I didn't realize how many people were going to be in that room.
Same.
And I walk in, I was like, oh, okay. It was the principal, the teacher, the associate, the psychologist, the nurse. This was transition meeting. Yes. So then there was like 3 more people, and I'm like, hi.
You sit down, and then they're like, introduce yourself.
Like,
who are you guys?
Who are all
I feel like I should know who you guys are. Sorry.
I think for me too, it's also a balance, and I recognize this in myself, that I don't want to be the person that stands in the way of what is best for Addie. Mm-hmm. And so it's a balance between like setting the stage and the foundation and the expectations, and making sure it's what's best for her, not what I want. Right? Because those two things can be very different at times. Mm-hmm. And I want Addie to continue to love school. We just had this conversation because we just switched Addie from core curriculum to essential elements. Mm-hmm. And since making that switch in a week and a half, there has been a light bulb change in her behavior at school. Not that it was bad, but it had started going towards 3rd grade is hard, and a lot of things are over her head. Mm-hmm. And she didn't want to do certain things because she's like, I don't get this. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to go do group. And so we had a lot of really good conversations, and we even had a pre-IEP meeting because they wanted so much of our input on how we felt, because they really couldn't make the decision. So we made it together as a team, and making sure that I put aside what I wanted and really focused on what was best for her. And what's best for her, she loves school. Mm-hmm. And I want her to continue loving school. Mm-hmm. And I want her to feel that confidence, that she knows what she's doing, that she has a sense of belonging, that she's welcome, that she's loved, all of those things. Yeah. And she does.
Yeah. And I remember this just happened, and we might have talked about this already, but we can dive into a little deeper. We were just starting our podcast, and you walked in. School had been like in session for a month or something, and she comes in hot. No, she came in sad, and I'm like, "What's going on?" Like, I can sense body language and how you're feeling.
I had literally just gotten off the phone, and it was our special education teacher kind of softening the ground, like, "Hey, I'm thinking about this. I don't know." And it was the switch to essential elements. And I remember telling you, like, I knew we would be having this conversation at some point in time. Mm-hmm. I just wasn't expecting it already. Right. And sometimes it is very much like whiplash, right? Like, I just gotten a text message on how great Addie's doing in her speech class. And then I get a text message that we're switching to essential elements. And then I get a phone call that she's saying the F word. And then I'm joking. I mean,
yelling the F word in the middle of recess in front of everyone.
Yeah. There was a whole group of kids around her.
Was that on our IEP?
No, it was not.
Was that one of your goals?
No. But I mean, if it would have been in context, I kind of would have. No, I'm joking. And so sometimes it's just whiplash, and sometimes you just have to give yourself permission to process, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't that what she was telling me was good, bad, or indifferent. You just have to have the conversations, process it, name it, feel it.
But at that moment, you were in Addie's way.
I was.
You were in Addie's way, thinking about what you wanted for her. And I think we talked, and it was good. And
at the end of the day, core curriculum doesn't necessarily matter to me. What matters to me is that Addie is able to function the best that she can in a society that was not built for her. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So, does she need to learn algebra? No. can we teach her time and money and things that are actually used?
Right.
That is what I want.
And we thought about, so in Iowa, and maybe other states have this too, but they have like the after high school program where it's like 3 years
12
of
plus, the
12 plus program.
Yep.
Where is it 3 years or 2 years?
I think it might be different.
Okay. So they go out in the community and they learn skills and life skills. And so we were going to hold Pierce back in kindergarten. And I'm thinking, why would I hold this kid back? He does not like school. What's going to teach him the most is after 12th grade when he's getting those life skills and stuff. So we were just, obviously didn't hold him back. But, yeah, I
remember when we had that conversation because you were thinking about holding him back because you had thought you were going to have to at some point in time and you wanted him to be able to go through
now I'm like,
schooling with the same kids.
Poor kid, if I held him back, he would still love me. he would be very upset if I held him back in school. But
so let's talk about progress. What do you guys do to celebrate the small wins, the things?
Nothing.
No, we celebrate with ice cream and queso. No.
Chicken nuggets, baby.
Chicken nuggets.
You get extra. You get 2 pieces extra. Right. Like when it comes to the IEPs.
IEPs, speech therapies, goals, things like that. Progress.
I don't know, but maybe we should.
Maybe we should.
No, like Pierce is just so
chill.
Yeah, I don't know.
He is. He is such a chill kid.
I don't know how to describe it, but he just doesn't. Even if we went out and did those things, he just wouldn't care. He'd be like, cool, this is nice, but I don't need this.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know. Shit.
Addie would tell you.
How do you celebrate?
Ice cream, queso, or like one of the maxes, like a play date.
Yeah. So this is super interesting, and I just thought about this, and I'm not sure how this is going to come off.
Yeah, no, go
ahead.
But
it's just reality of where I'm at. So the hard part about having a child that doesn't communicate and use their words is that you don't think that they can reciprocate what you're saying.
Right.
So to a fault, I almost don't say, hey, Pierce, you did so well on this. Do you want to go celebrate? Because I just assume that he doesn't understand that because he can't communicate that he did well on something. Whereas Ivy comes home and she's like, I did this. Can I go do this? Mm-hmm. So she can communicate so much more of that understanding of X, Y, and Z, which doesn't dismiss the fact that I need to do that for Pierce and be like, hey, Pierce, you did so good with this. I will say that I do take him to Chick-fil-A quite a bit.
I've never not one time.
Chick-fil-A.
I've never not one time in my life had Chick-fil-A. Ever.
No.
Never.
You're joking.
Never not one time.
We need to do next week. We're doing live Chick-fil-A eating.
Oh, I don't know.
It's good. It's really good. And sponsor. Is Chick-fil-A, will you sponsor this podcast? So we do go to Chick-fil-A, but it's in just random moments where if I say we have an appointment and then he's not going to be at school till 11:30 and it's 11, I'm like, do you want to go to Chick-fil-A? Yeah. So it's out of like, we have time. But this might be something I need to get better at. And just, does that make sense though? Yeah. Of like, when you feel like they can't associate, okay, I did good on this, so I get a treat. And it's not that Pierce is so not like understanding of things that we tell him. Like when we say, go get your shoes, he'll go get them. So he knows what we're saying.
I am not above bribery. And so sometimes it is very much like, Addie, if you wear your CPAP mask for the 4 hours that insurance requires, which she rarely does, but when she does, when she sees the 4 on her machine, then she gets to have like a reward, right? So she knows that when she gets 4 hours, she can go get chips and queso. She can go get ice cream. She can have a play date with Max. Like sometimes I have to text Max's mom, like, "Hey, Addie wore a mask for 4 hours. You want to get ice cream? Like, want to do this?" Yeah. Or she can go play with the kids next door. Not that she doesn't play with them every single day, but it was very much like trying to encourage, kind of, if you do this, then you get this with certain things. Yeah. And then when she hits like milestones or skills in gymnastics that she's been working really hard on, we try to celebrate those all the time. Working on that cartwheel.
Pierce did gymnastics with Dawn a couple weeks ago.
How was it? I know. It's okay.
It was good.
She is. She's such a saint.
She's so awesome. But Pierce is Pierce. He'll be just has his little things. Yeah. He's shaking. And then she's like, Dawn's, bless her heart, she doesn't want him to put these down. I'm like, give me those snakes. And she's like, they're fine. He's setting them down to the side. I'm like, but he's not. So they went to do the thing where you flip your legs around the bar, or you walk them
up and over,
he puts his elbows up there because heaven forbid he lets go of his shit. So he's like this, and he's kicking his legs up, and I'm like, holy fuck! Like I gotta leave. I went upstairs to watch IEPs because I'm like,
I can't watch.
But he's living his best life.
Yeah,
he's like upside down, smiling. I'm like, well, you're living your best life, buddy.
Have fun. Yep. Cool. Lower the bar.
Just lowered it. But that's what I love about the kid. Because he doesn't give a shit. If he can do it or not, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm here. I'm living. I'm doing all the things. So it's just funny.
And he's so determined to do anything.
And after that, there's no way in hell I'm going to go bribe him with some Chick-fil-A after that. To be like, you did a great job.
No. Oh
no, it was funny.
Addie's so determined to do the same things that other kids can, right?
Yeah.
So when we're there
and
she sees somebody go off like the high bar into the foam pit, she's like, well, I'm going to go do it. And then she'll go and she'll walk all the way up and she'll put her hands on the bar and then she'll look down and then she'll stop. And instead of going onto the bar, she'll just jump off the top of the stairs into the foam pit. And I'm like, okay, cool.
And that's Pierce would look at it and be like, guys, that's not very smart. You're going to get hurt. And so he just wouldn't do it. So those are our kids in a nutshell.
Right. Let's see. What's been the hardest part of advocating in any of these settings?
Like literally, I feel like, no, Amber's all butterflies and rainbows, but nothing. Like even with his OT and speech. So Pierce went through a series and he's kind of going through it now where, here's the thing. When you have a child that has the extra needs and he's going to the extra appointments, I don't want his life to be brought up with appointments. That's all he's doing. So we got to a spot where we take breaks. So we might do speech. And OT we started way late, which I don't know why. We didn't start OT until he was probably 8, 7.
Really?
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing that I didn't know a lot about OT, but we didn't start that until just of recent. But he did speech therapy and then obviously physical therapy. He has lots of things going on with his knees. And then he just regresses or he's non-compliant, right? So he doesn't throw fits or anything. He doesn't hit. He just lays down, acts like he's sleeping. And just shakes his thing, doesn't want to move, do anything. So then after, a couple weeks of doing that, as a team, they say, well, we can keep seeing him, but, I always think about my time and his time. Is this worth it? Or should we just leave him at school and not take him out of school to go get an appointment that nothing is getting done?
Yeah.
Because he knows he's going to an appointment. He knows he has to work hard. So as a collaborative team, we come together and we say, okay, let's take a break. We'll keep him on the wait list. They never kick him off. They're never negative about it. They just say, we'll take a break. We can put him on a wait list for 4 weeks. If after those 4 weeks we come try it again and he's still not compliant, I guess, or wanting to do it, then we'll just release him, then he'll have to get back on the wait list. Yeah. So then we recently went over to another service and we go on Monday mornings and honestly it's not going great. Like he's tired on Mondays, he cries on the way, and he's so funny because he'll whisper like, what? I don't want to go. Yeah. I was just like in the car, you excited? No. I'm like, where's your voice go? But he's shy and then it's the whole like, does he have anxiety? Whatever. So again, now we're talking about it. Is this beneficial for everybody? Because I don't start my workday then until 11, which is fine. I'll do that for my kids. But if he's not getting anything out of it, he'd be better off going to school for those 3 hours. Is this just a time suck for everybody? Yeah. And so we go in ebbs and flows. We all know when we need to take breaks, and we all know when we need to start again. And there hasn't been any negative, even since the AEA days. Yeah. Just how they handled it and got him into school and then with extra therapies. How about you?
When I look at advocacy, I think about, and I don't necessarily know if it's advocacy or just always bringing a different lens to the conversation. When we're talking about inclusive playgrounds, like that's a big topic of conversation right now in our district because of a bond they're trying to pass and things like that. And so we're sitting at the meeting and like, okay, but what does inclusive mean to you, right? Mm-hmm. And is that really inclusive to all kids? Is it wheelchair accessible? Is there, just the difference. So it's always just trying to remember to kind of bring that lens to conversation is like, how are the decisions that you're making at this table going to impact individuals with disabilities or people who need sensory friendly or neurodivergent or any of those things. So I think of advocacy in that way. I think of advocacy a lot of the processes that we have to go through and how is that related to families and individuals that don't necessarily have the resources that you and I do, the time commitment. Like, I can get on the phone and be on hold with insurance for however many hours it takes to get through, to ask the questions, to be Johnny on the spot, to do those things. And so I think about families, and I do this in every aspect, whether it's, you know, in the work that I do with food insecurity, whether it's families that have individuals with disabilities, the lost community, like all of the things that I do. I think about how would somebody who has a language barrier, a transportation barrier, any of things be able to navigate this system, right? And so I think of advocacy in that lens. Do people, in the conversations that are being had, do people with lived experience have representation in them, right? So I think of advocacy in that way. Most of the time, the advocacy comes in the form of arguing with insurance.
Yes, poor insurance companies. I mean, not maybe half the time they don't know what is going on. That's the thing, is I feel like their turnover is so changes. And changes.
Yes.
That then you talk to someone and you're like, can I just talk to your manager?
I know.
Please.
I'll put a please on there. So there's a little bit of that. And we haven't had to necessarily do a whole lot. But again, I'm a little extra. Like, I bring things up before somebody has to ask me, right? So I just, like, open up the door. Like, when Patty's invited to a meeting, they know that there's going to be questions asked. They know that certain questions and, you know, that I just try to make sure those topics and conversations are being had.
Yeah. I feel like did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think, again, we haven't been put in the position where we have had to.
So you're just talking about in general.
In general, I think, in advocacy.
Yeah, because I was going to say.
Because I also know good friends of ours that have had to start a riot. Not like a riot, but like in the school setting, which is like a review for an IEP, because the school district was not following what was in the IEP.
Yep.
And they ended up pulling their kiddo from school. And so we have never been in the position where and kudos to that mom, because she's fantastic and, you know, stood her ground when it came to her child. And if I was put in the same situation, I would do the exact same thing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But,
yeah, I don't know. I think that's, what else? Is there anything else that you want to cover?
I think that there are a lot of resources available. So if you are new to the Down syndrome community, or even disability community, like, try and connect with other families and resources. We're constantly learning. I was at a get-together not that long ago, and one of our friends said, Patty, I feel like I learn so much from you and the other moms every time we have a conversation with just things that would work for Addie. Last year in second grade, they put like little sunspots. So there are these little suns, and there's 3 of them placed throughout the room. And so when Addie needed a break, she could go to a sun. And she would just get a 5-minute break, right? Or a 2-minute break. One was by a window, one was in the back of the room, and one was right up next to the teacher. And our second grade teacher was fantastic. Because our friend was having some behavior issues. And I'm like, well, this worked for Addie. And so sometimes just having those conversations, like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. Maybe that would work too. We had another conversation about potty training. Just because for us, I did not think about potty training as, oh my gosh, I have to do this. We took the approach of, we're just going to master one thing.
Right. And get really good at that.
Before we start doing it again. And so it took like a year. But that's what happened. And so it's just like being able to share what worked for you to help other families. So there are therapies, there are resources, there are waivers, and
there's a lot out there.
Assistance that are available.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is going back to Pierce's like lunch situation. So after lunch, he would always get a little crazy. And I would have never known that had the team not reached out to me to be like, hey, and they're just so proactive about implementing things. Like, hey, we're going to give him, and then they said, we're going to try this. And they called me and I'm like, let's just let him choose. So let him choose to sit in the classroom or the lunchroom for lunch. Or if he's very overwhelmed and he doesn't want to, let him go sit in a quiet room. But just that they're willing to do it and take my advice and what's best for him. And they're like, it's worked great. And we still, this year, that was like a part of his IEP was Pierce can either sit in the lunchroom and eat, or he can sit in the quiet classroom and eat.
Yeah.
But had we not come together as a team and figured that out for him,
Yeah.
behavior would probably look a lot different, right?
Yeah,
So,
probably.
Yeah,
It's all trial and error.
It is. It's like you never know what's going to work, what's not. Could have the best idea or the worst idea ever.
I think this is going to be a success or an epic failure. But hey, at least we know.
At least we know. At least
we got to try.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know systems can be overwhelming, but you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best part about this journey is I know we're not alone.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, guys.